Hello and welcome to episode 160 of the Arena Regulars podcast. I'm Zach,
And I'm Jeff.
and we're a source for drunken Magic the Gathering arena content.
That's right. Just a couple of regular guys drinking some irregular beers and talking about Magic the Gathering, in particular, the online client MTG Arena.
And even more in particular, we are talking about Modern Horizons 3 as we have been talking about for the last few weeks. We got to talk about some new cards, we got to talk about some new stuff. There's so many things to talk about with this set. It's crazy. We're not even, we have like 2 weeks until it comes out, but holy crap. um, get into more complicated things as well as the arena open and what we may or may not have been able to do this last weekend. But first, each week we bring a beer, we drink it, we rate it on a scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers and arena. So, with that, Jeff, what's on tap this week?
All right, well, I have something that is funky fresh this week. It is a kiwi lime sour by
Hmm.
Whitewater Brewing Co. Yeah, it is allegedly tart and fruity. It is 4.6%. Now, Zach, we are the most impartial of judges here. We do everything
Hmm.
by the book. We throw our biases out the window when we try a new beer.
Hmm.
And so it's not true. We almost never do that. But
Yeah.
that's my mentality tonight. Never heard of this brewery, ever tried a sour beer. And so we're going in with a blank slate.
Wow. Wow. Never tried a sour beer. You going that far?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Never heard of a lime,
Mm.
never tasted a kiwi. Fun fact about me, I eat the skin of the kiwi,
Mm.
and everyone calls me weird for it.
It's actually not that weird. I have also
Right?
eaten the skin of a kiwi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just kind of eat it like an apple kind of thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then sometimes the little nub bit at the ends, those are a little
Hmm.
tough. So you don't really like
Yeah,
that
you get
part.
rid of that part,
But the
sure.
actual fuzzy bit isn't that bad. It's like similar to like a peach. Peaches.
Yeah, it's like eating a peach. Thank
Yeah.
you. Feel
Yeah.
vindicated now.
You're
Everyone in my
welcome.
family thinks I'm super weird.
No, it's all
And I'm
right.
like, I just can't be bothered to like skin the thing, and
I know. Well,
it's fine. And it's actually the healthiest part, so up yours.
yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah.
Oh, the crust is the healthiest part.
I
Um,
generally wonder if that's even true, or if it's just something we say to make ourselves feel better.
I think it is something because like my dad would also eat like he doesn't do this every time, but he has been known to eat like the entire orange, like
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So like me eating the skin of a kiwi, not that weird in
Yeah,
my family.
that's yeah. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dad's over there eating onions like an apple without peeling them or something.
Without peeling them. Okay, I've definitely tried eating an onion as an apple, and it wasn't the worst, but wasn't super great.
Yeah, it doesn't
Um,
sound great.
no. Anyway, what Jeff is trying to allude at with this is that obviously this is a beer that I have picked, this kiwi lime sour,
Obviously, yes.
obviously. Uh, Also, if you haven't heard of Whitewater Brewing, it's probably because we've only done one beer by them because
Exactly one beer has appeared on the show,
and
and
that
only because it had a magic themed name.
yeah, it was called Blood Moon. It was a like blood orange sour. Um, there are reasons why we've only done one. So anyway, let's try this one.
Impartial,
Impartial.
unbiased, impartial
Yeah.
judge.
Yeah, here we go, Jeff. Let's
All
crack
right.
in this thing.
Thank you for the beer.
With that, we have some magic news.
Zach, even before we jump into that,
Okay.
I think we have an apology to issue.
Oh,
What do you
do we?
think?
Yeah. I mean, like probably a little bit, but like,
Correction, maybe.
okay, there is a little bit of a
Yeah.
correction.
And this is brought to you by our good friend Maturin
Hmm.
on the Discord channel. Shout out to you for pointing this out. But we had a rather lengthy discussion last episode about cards that punish you for winning a coin flip, and how this was a trend in modern Magic
Magic.
design that
Hmm.
we did not approve of. So Zach, do you want to tell us what the correction is about the card we were in particular that set us into this frenzy
Yeah.
last episode?
All right, so we were talking about the card Ral Monsoon Mage, and basically on the card, it just says that if whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell during your turn, you flip a coin. If you lose the flip, Ral deals 1 damage to you. If you win the flip, you may exile Ral and then return it transformed. We missed the may part of
Yeah,
that ability.
pretty important
So
word
then
there.
the entire discussion doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter at all.
it's strictly positive to win the flip because you get the choice. So
Yes, and you don't lose life. So,
yeah.
oops, my bad. I definitely put us on that train, so that's all my fault.
I
Though,
totally read it the way you read it. So I was with you. I was like, yeah, get out
yeah.
the pitchfork. Like, no more losing flips is good.
It's also like as soon as you start to see something that says like flip transform, you just stop reading. It's the
Yeah.
classic
There's
exile
too
that.
many words here for me to actually read all of them.
Yeah,
I'm
of
gonna
course.
have to shortcut.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah.
yeah.
We got that
Um,
one wrong. Thanks, Return, for pointing that out. And
Appreciate it.
yeah.
We
Yeah, I
will.
want to say it won't happen again, but
I was just about to say we will definitely do it again.
mhm.
Especially every night we drink like 10% beers. All right, we have some magic news. Today, there is news that in Modern Horizons 3, with as it comes to the client, there will be a new type of mastery pass. Um, it's called Psychic Frog's Horizon Hideaway, which is a kind of ridiculous name
Yeah.
for a mastery pass. Basically, what they're doing is that we're keeping the mastery pass for Outlaws of Thunder Junction until Bloomborough comes out, and this is like an extra, just like a new one, a new fun thing, a way to get card styles and like avatars and things like that for characters that you might be interested in for Modern Horizons 3.
Okay, so
With
walk me through this. What's the fundamental difference between this and the old Mastery Pass system? Maybe we
Mhm.
shouldn't call it that, but like the typical Mastery Pass system. What makes
Yeah.
that distinct?
So, if you don't know, in general, the Mastery Pass is 2 tracks. There's basically like the free track where you don't pay any gems for it. And just every 3 to 5 wins or so, you just get like packs or gold or just kind of random things, or maybe like a card style or like those Mastery Orbs that give you card styles. Um, and then you can pay 3,400 gems to get every time you level up to the next mastery thing, you get the paid track, which is the bottom. The paid track, you get a bunch more stuff. There's more packs. There's like play sets of cards and like all this stuff. So usually you get a fairly good bang for your buck as long as you like all the things you're getting. This pass is a ticket system where, as you complete quests and do daily wins, you get tickets. And what they do is that you are allowed to redeem them in a new portion of the store called Psychic Frog's Horizon Hideaway. And what you can get are different avatars, like I said before. You can get draft tokens, you can get packs, you can get all these things. Um, Kind of cool. The one thing about it that I don't love is that you are not allowed to redeem any of your tickets until you spend 2,800 gems to the store
Mhm.
to unlock this new Psychic Frogs Horizon Hideaway. Um, I don't think it's a huge waste. Like, obviously, it's cheaper than the entire Mastery Pass. Um, and if there are things that you want in it, you can get them. The thing that's kind of hard is that certain things you're only allowed to like redeem once. So uh, something like an Ulamog avatar, that's fine because you only need one Ulamog avatar. You don't need to redeem it more
Sure.
than once. But you're only allowed to redeem the player draft token once. You can't redeem
Oh,
it more than
boo.
once.
I
Yeah,
would cycle around to that thing over and over again.
exactly. So like if it was just a store where you get to like it's kind of like a prize wall. You use your ticks to get whatever you want,
Yeah,
except for you have to pay for the prize wall to even be like available to you. Like you have to pay to walk up to the table, and
right.
then you can use the free things that you've been collecting through playing. Um, in the end, I think it's an interesting idea, and we'll see how successful it is. but it doesn't. I think the thing I like about the Mastery Pass is that I just get stuff, just it just happens, and that's kind
Right.
of nice. And I don't have to spend too much brain power thinking about it or like saving for it. And then I get to just deal with the other two currencies, which are gold and gems, and don't have to worry about a third ticket thing.
Yeah.
Um, but if this is your deal, that cool. Like you can buy random mythic cards, you can buy packs,
For sure.
just the fact that it kind of caps out is kind of a little bit of a bummer to me, but yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah, a couple things. I think they've shown time and time again their sort of willingness to do this, where this is kind of clearly a test.
Hmm.
They're going to see how this goes. And like, this is a pilot for introducing this as the new mastery system, or at least an alternative
Hmm.
system. Because they do this all the time where they have these like tests that are just kind of for fun or on these one-off sets or like whatever that gives them the out of like, well, that was just a fun thing we did for that set, but we're not going to do it again. If it doesn't go well, and if it does go well, then it's like, oh, well, it went so well, we
Hmm.
decided to, introduce it into the mainstream. So, I think the thing to do here is to, as usual, like vote with your wallet. If you think this is a great
Hmm.
idea that you'd love to be a part of Arena, then buy it. If you, I'm gonna have little sympathy for all the people that bought it, and then, like, I guess you're trying it, so maybe that's not fair. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, if they do it again, and you didn't like the first one, like, if you buy it again, then that's gonna tell them to do it. So, um, maybe like, yeah, if this sounds cool to you, go for it. This isn't the kind of thing that I really interact with, so it's hard for me to have too strong an opinion. Like I never buy the
Hmm.
Mastery Pass. So for me, it's just like, well, I'm not gonna buy either one. And now I'm not getting the free track stuff from the Mastery Pass. So like
So like
net
you're just
net
losing.
negative for me. A
Yeah.
very mild negative because you don't get much from the free track,
Hmm.
but still a slight negative. But I could see why for the people that are interested in Mastery Pass like stuff, like this would be cooler, like the people
Yeah.
that are buying it, I think this product will appeal to.
It
So,
is nice that you just get to choose, and like when you see people with these avatars and stuff, you know that they specifically decided to pick that one, as opposed to
right.
the mastery pass. It's just kind of like, oh, you got to level
Yeah,
15,
yeah,
so you got the
right,
you got the tiny bones thing. Cool. Yeah, yeah. I also did that, but I'm not using it right now. That kind of stuff.
right,
Um, what I say with this and what I do with the mastery pass, because I actually like these. I enjoy mastery passes. I usually do get it, but I tend to wait until I have enough of this stuff that it actually will like
right.
I'll get a lot of the value immediately. So I would probably say like save up. The cool thing is you get to just save up all your tickets, and then as soon as you're like, sweet, I get the draft token, I get a bunch of draft packs and a bunch of mythics, plus maybe I want one of these avatars. And if that ends up being kind of the same value, then it's like basically I'm just buying all of this, but buying a draft token, all of this always seems like it's 1,500 less because I'm always going to draft. So a draft token is always
Yeah,
worth
the draft
15.
token, right.
So then really I'm just looking at the rest of it, which is like 1,300, and depending on whether I would do that. If I could get two draft tokens, I would get this every time. I would always do that.
Yeah, I
So,
think when you put it that way, it becomes a lot more appealing to me, where it's like once you have accumulated what you believe to be more than 2,800 gems worth of
mhm,
material, then it just makes sense to buy this.
yeah,
Like as long as all of that stuff is worth gems to you, like I know you can do the math on like, oh, this,
converts to
portrait
golds
is
and
worth
mhm,
500 gems, but it's like if you're not going to use it, if that doesn't mean anything to you, then it's worth 0 gems.
mhm,
Um, and so there, for example, there are a lot of people where the draft ticket is the only thing of value in the
mhm,
whole thing, and so there's never a way for them to
yeah.
have it be worth it.
So you're basically like, oh, you're basically spending two drafts worth of gems
Yeah,
to get one draft, and
right.
then
And a bunch of
some.
stuff you don't care about.
Yeah,
And since it's not an economy where you can go out and sell that stuff you got to someone else, like it doesn't make sense.
doesn't make sense.
Um, but that's what you have to just do your like internal calculation of once your ticket worth has
Hmm.
amassed more than 2,800 gems, then you buy it. And I think it's cool that you get to like see how many, like with the Mastery Pass thing as well. Like you get to wait and see if it's worth it to you to buy it. And this gives you a lot more flexibility on that. Because when I was looking
Hmm.
at buying the Mastery Pass, I was like, I'd have to get so far down this line for this to be worth it to me.
Hmm.
And I know I'm not going to play enough to get there. Whereas this is like, maybe it's more reasonable that I actually buy this because like with the 1,500 sort of freebie, we're talking 1,300 gems. Like maybe it's possible for them to make that worth my while. It's still a lot of gems. It's almost another draft. So I'm like,
I know
is
that's the hard
cosmetics
part.
and like packs and stuff gonna get me
Honestly,
there? But
if it literally was just if I could redeem if it was exactly the same and I could redeem two draft tokens, no brainer, I would get it every time.
yeah, but I
But
think that's what they're afraid of is specifically the redeeming multiple draft tokens, because then
yeah,
it's all the drafters like just getting cheaper drafts, I guess.
barely like
Yeah.
by 200 gems. That's it's also
100
they're
gem per draft, right? Yeah.
per draft,
So,
sure. Yeah, yeah. So um it just doesn't seem that much cheaper. It's just like
but
it
could they, in theory, get a third one without spending more money, like just by continuing to play?
oh, you mean like they would get enough gems to draft
Enough
again?
tickets to do another draft ticket or whatever.
Uh well, what I'm saying is that like because they cap it, if they literally just cap it at two, then like
Oh, cap it at two instead of okay. I thought you were
instead of
saying like just open it up.
no no no
No,
no no
no,
no
no.
no 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 literally just like instead of capping it at one, cap it at two draft tokens, and
Gotcha.
then it's
And the second one is worth it like requires more tickets than the first one, kind of thing. Okay,
exactly.
yeah. You could
So
make it. Yeah, you could work the numbers on that.
and it would be boom gravy town. Like that's what you want.
Right. And then
So
the people who are hardcore drafting get a 200 gem
discount,
discount,
and
but they're
they'll
the
interact with
whales
it.
who are playing all the time, so that's who you want. And then
Yeah.
yeah,
And they're
I could
also
see
just
that.
like using the other things because they just have extra stuff at the end. They're like, well, I could get this cool avatar, sure, I guess. Um, and then they're showing
This is the
off this
first
stuff to other
iteration too,
people.
right?
Yeah.
This is part of testing out the new ideas. Like this is the first iteration. They'll take all the data here. Maybe
Mhm.
the next one will have two draft tokens.
Exactly. But that's a feedback I'll probably present to them and just be like, they do listen to us and listen to the podcast, so I think that we'll be
Yeah,
able to get
I'm
them.
sure it's already being implemented right now
Yeah.
as they're listening to these words. They're like,
Yeah.
fuck, we should have put two.
I just texted Gavin Verhey because he's
Yeah.
totally in charge of arena anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, yeah, I texted tomorrow, so
mhm.
yeah.
Perfect, perfect. Anyway, that was actually longer than I thought we were going to discuss that, but um, new things could be a big change, could be really interesting. Also,
The big changes to Arena have a way of sneaking up like this,
they
where
do.
it's like, oh, that thing they did 6 months ago. Like, yeah, that's
Just
just canon now.
exactly. If you remember when they did like the no ban list historic events that ended up
Yep,
being timeless,
yep.
that's what we're talking about. So this is why we kind of wanted to show this because this is how they do things.
Hmm.
Um, Another thing that they're doing that I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think I care that much, but I thought it would be important to mention because I've been completely writing off all of these cards in my head, and I shouldn't be.
Which well, I'm just gonna continue to do it, but
Yeah, you probably should.
yeah.
But there is something about Modern Horizons 3 draft packs. But besides all the booster fun stuff that they normally do, blah, 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 there are special guests or something. I don't know what all the special guests are, unless these are literally the special guests. I'm confused. But I'm just giving you the information I have right now. There are 8 commander cards that will be in Modern Horizons 3 limited packs. This is on Arena. I also had to check. It's also in paper.
That's
They
the question I was gonna ask because that's where I think it
was
actually matters.
really matters. Um, I think they will show up more frequently on Arena than paper, but basically there are 8 legends, and they're all the face commanders for the Commander Precon cards. So they're commander cards. They're all legendary, and they will be part of the draft format. I think that they're interesting enough that they could be kind of cool to see randomly. Um, I was expecting them to be on Arena in some capacity just for historic brawl.
Yeah.
Um, but I did go look at them just to see like, oh, what are these? And for the most part, they're not like crazy, like 8 drops. These huge, giant Timmy cards that are just like so worthless and you could never play in draft. But most of them are 3 colors, or
Yeah.
with the exception, one is 5 colors slash all colorless. So you can, or any combination of thereof. Could be interesting, but probably not a good draft card. But ultimately, I just wanted to say, hey, there are these cards. Don't be surprised when these pop up in your draft packs.
Yeah, I don't totally understand this from an arena perspective. I mean, maybe it's just for fun, and maybe they're just testing stuff out again. Um, don't know what the impetus for doing this is in arena, but in paper, it's like, okay, maybe giving people a way to get these cards without having to buy a pre-con for just one card they actually care about
Hmm
does make
It
some sense.
it ups
But
the supply so that they cost less,
yeah,
I think.
but they're at such a ridiculous drop rate that it's like,
Hmm
okay, well, that's not a realistic scenario either. That
It's
I'm
yeah,
actually going to get this card that way. But so I feel like this is a very like cautious test that they're doing. And we might start to see this to be more of a thing for commander supply reasons
yeah.
in the future.
Which honestly, I started off thinking this is annoying. I don't put commander cards in the limited format. But the thing is, they already did this in set boosters, just as like drop rate stuff. This is a way for them to try to do it again without that. But the more times I could sit at a commander table and be like, "Oh, I know that commander is
Yeah.
good." Like
Yeah.
I don't play commander that much anymore. I used to play it a lot more. But if I walk past a table and see a card that I used to play or have played and I know how it works, I'm
That
like, "Oh,
it's like
that's
that
cool."
one time I had that draft where I played this ridiculous card.
And it was so awesome because I got to do this thing, and then you look down and you see that someone's playing it in this even more ridiculous way. You're like, "That's sick! That's so cool!" And
Yeah,
then you have a shared interaction. Anything that can get the Magic players like closer together, I always for.
agreed.
I
Yeah.
want us to be more of a cohesive player base as opposed to like we're already niche in the world. We don't need to be niche with each other.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
and I am a I mean not a victim, sorry. I am I do that. What? I put sometimes I push people away. We talk about alchemy as like, being different or historic and all that kind
Right.
of stuff, mostly in jest. But when it comes down to it, I would like everyone
Wait,
to
you're
be.
joking? Oh yeah, yeah.
I
Joke and jest. Yep.
I would like all of us to be more of a cohesive unit. So if the cards
Kumbaya.
overlap a little bit more, I'm better with it.
Yeah, and
Uh,
obviously they're worried about commander cards being too high powered for limited, and that's why their
mhm.
drop rate is they're easing into a drop rate and trying to find like the right one is
Yeah,
my guess here, and they're starting really reserved with it, which is fine. I'm fine with that. And the more they push this drop rate, the less weird it will feel, and the more we will actually get that two-way interaction between limited and commander, where limited players are like, oh, that commander's sweet, and like maybe I do want to build a deck around it. And
yeah.
commander players are like, I kind of want this commander, but I don't want to buy the pre-con. Draft does seem kind of cool. Maybe I'll just draft.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
if
Also, you could be at a draft and someone's like, "Oh, I got this weird. I don't know what this is. I took it. I thought it could be fit in my deck, but whatever." And then the commander player's like, "Oh, well, I actually will trade you for it because I
trade you,
want that." And then,
yeah.
boom. And then who knows? The draft player
This
might have one commander deck. The commander player might come to draft once a month. Whatever.
this just sounds like a good thing to me. Like commander limited already has like crazy bombs that just decide games sometimes,
Hmm
anyways, and like you were saying, these don't even seem like those for this format.
They
So,
really aren't. They're all very specific kind of
right? Like
synergy
commander
pieces.
cards are very synergistic. That commander
Hmm
is all about synergy, and limited is all
hmm
about just raw power level. So,
Yeah.
um,
And to be fair, like, who knows if I actually want to play this card? Like, do you know the card? Can you look this up? Have you seen it? I did think of you when I saw this card,
oh
though.
boy,
Uh, maybe old Jeff. I'm not sure, but Corum, the Undertaker.
Okay.
Coram.
Actually, when you said that, I happened to be scrolling right by
Okay.
the alternate art version of that card.
So
Uh,
this is like
Jund, we're off to a good start.
so it's a Jund, it's like one in Jund for a 0/5 legendary creature human warrior. And it says it gets plus X plus 0, where X is the greatest power among creature cards in all graveyards. And then whenever Quorum attacks, each player mills a card. And it says during each of your turns, you may play land and cast spells from among cards in graveyards that were put there from libraries this turn. So
Yeah, love this card.
it's like a Jund it's like a Jund mill deck kind of where like you also get to play your opponent's stuff if it went there this turn and like it seems so funky and weird but also
Love
does
it.
fucking nothing because it's a zero
Yeah,
five like
yeah, and I was just thinking like it sort of gets around some graveyard hate, but not the good ones.
Mhm.
So like it doesn't get around Rest in Peace, but it does get around stuff like
uh,
Ley Line of whatever, as long as your opponent has a creature,
of the void.
because it counts your opponent's graveyard and Ley
Yeah,
Line
yeah, yeah.
is one target.
Hmm.
And it gets around the single target stuff
Yeah,
and
and like
like
Graph Digger's Cage too, right? Because you're not playing any. I guess you're casting spells, but you can play lands still,
yeah.
and still is
Um
big.
Yeah, so it's sort of this weird, like, gets around some graveyard hate, but if you really want to like screw me over, you could still just cast Rest in Peace, and then this is
Hmm.
an 0/5 and does
Yeah,
nothing else.
literally nothing else.
Um,
I
yeah,
guess
I
it,
guess
it
it
still
mills us
mills
both. Yeah,
each of you. But like
pointlessly. Yeah,
this is I think this is a good direction. This card seems awesome and hilarious, but also like I don't know, in a commander game this seems like so frustrating to like look at everybody's stuff and like touch
yeah.
all their cards.
Just each player mills a card. You look at everyone's graveyard. Yeah.
Like
But in
that could be
limited,
annoying.
this is like pretty good, I think.
Hmm.
It's not amazing.
It's not amazing for sure. It's also three colors, so that's difficult. I don't know how easy fixing will be in this limited format, but overall, it's cool enough to see and be like, this could be interesting. Um, I don't know if it's too slow or too weird or too niche or whatever, but I had never read that card and now I have, and I'm happy I read that card.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
the reason I read it is because they put these in the boosters. So uh,
Yeah.
that's all I wanted to say, really.
If you can cast it, it's a strong limited card, but this is not a bomb. If this is going to be
Hmm.
nowhere near the most powerful card in the set.
No, 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 no. So yeah, before we get into more like Modern Horizons stuff, I did want to
Woo-hoo.
quickly just kind of chat about this weekend. Um, this
This
weekend
past
was
weekend.
this past weekend, yeah. This past weekend was the Arena Open, and I think a lot of people share their like triumphs a lot and like talk about how great they did, and like you see a lot of trophies and all those kinds of things, and like we had kind of highlighted when we went to the tournament, and I was able to top eight, which was super cool. Um, so I thought it was only fair that like we talk about what happened this weekend.
Highs and the lows, baby.
I'll start because your story's more interesting probably.
More embarrassing.
Is it? I don't know. I felt really embarrassed. Like it was. I scrubbed out day one really bad, really badly. Um, it
That
was
just
not.
happens, man.
I know, but it was just not a good. It was just not a good time.
So
Um,
walk me through it. I know you streamed it.
I
I
did
wasn't able to
stream it.
catch the stream, unfortunately, but
No, no, that's it's good you didn't catch the stream. It was really rough.
let's start with the
Um,
pool. Was it a bad pool? Is that what did you in?
I had two pools. My first one was pretty bad. I cobbled together some sort of like Abzan deck that like was didn't really have any bombs but had my removal. I had it buried in the garden, so I was like, let's try to go that direction, and did some things. Promptly 0-3'd, and it was really, really just frustrating. Um, because I feel like I know this set well enough that I shouldn't have done that, but what are you gonna do? And then I quickly just went into another one. Had a much better pool the second time. and I think ended up building a very similar style deck, but actually had better removal and better bombs, but just got wrecked by like turn two. My opponent had like turn to Prairie Dog, cast nothing else the rest of the game, basically. And I'm like trying to get around it. I like had a cool combo with like what's the with Fortune. So I had Fortune, the Loyal Steed, and I had the that hostile in
Oh,
investigator.
oh,
So I wanted
damn.
to like blink the investigator to make them discard cards because they weren't playing anything, so they had a big hand.
Then you
But
have to
like,
tack into the
but then I have to, yeah,
otter.
I have to tack it to this prairie dog, and then like they gain a bunch of life and stuff. So eventually, I was able to be like, all right, I'm just gonna kill the prairie dog. Because I had some mana issues, so I was like trying to figure out how to get double black for murder. Able to finally target it to kill it. Was not able to kill it because instead they played Final Showdown, giving it indestructible and blowing up all four of my creatures, and then the game's over.
Yeah.
My
Losing the final showdown
yeah,
is losing the final
yeah.
showdown.
And then I had another game where I like got them to three because I killed a bunch of stuff, but had to force them to. I had to make them draw a few cards off their Cac Tarantula to get it off the board because I had to keep killing it. And then because they drew an extra card, they top decked Badlands Revival, got the Cactarantula back and something else, slammed it, and I shut the door on me. And it was a brutal 2-3, and I just got mad and I had to go to work. So I was like, fuck it. And I left. But anyway, it did not go well. But I want to hear more about yours
All right.
after
All
my
right.
kind of
Mine
like
is definitely more embarrassing.
it's a little bit. I mean, you should have known by now, but like,
Yeah. So, um, it I played the what is it called? Day one. I played day
mhm.
one at night after my son went and partner went to sleep. So I don't know, we're talking not like super late, but like
Yeah, around
9
this
p.m.
time. Yeah,
9
yeah.
p.m.-ish.
9, yeah.
Um, and so I was like, all right, well, realistically, I have one shot at this. So the most common, like the most likely outcome here is that I don't spike it. I have a decent run and have some fun. And like, I'm kind of deciding if that's what I want to do. Like, I could just play a few matches or do a draft or whatever. Is this how I want to spend gems? I decide to do it. And this will make you feel better. I immediately O3'd with my pool. Which because I O3'd so quickly, I was like, I can actually probably do one more. Like I thought it was just gonna be one, but I assumed we're talking like a 3-3 at worst kind
Hmm.
of thing. But the O3 was like, I could do another one. But the O3 was an unbelievably good deck. I think you'll appreciate this because I
Okay.
called the deck Orange Crush.
Ooh.
And it was black white, but it was very heavy black. And I had like just all kinds of crazy, like all of the best black kind of uncommons that you can
Hmm.
think of, they were probably in the deck. And then I had the like a couple of decent white cards as well, but the curve was just incredible, lots of removal, and the highlight was not one, not two, but three caustic Broncos.
Oh my God. What the fuck?
Three caustic Broncos. And I was just like, well, all right, we did it. We got to day two because this deck is like stupid good. And then every single game I was on the draw and my opponent just like absolutely nut drew me. And I was like, okay, well, I guess turn two Caustic Bronco was like nowhere near good enough to compete with what you were doing. Like I don't remember everything, but it was like game one of the entire event was my opponent's on the play. It's turn two Seraphic Steed. I play a Bronco. They Savage Smash. So they had natural
Oh.
Naya, Savage Smash, kill my Bronco attack. I don't hit a land drop to kill their thing, and then they go like, what's the beaver? Giant beaver, boom, make a 3-3 attack I was just like,
And then you're like, oh, the
fuck
game's
me, I
over.
guess. If I was on the play, I think I would have won that game because
Yeah.
I would be on the front foot with the Bronco and like
Hmm.
drawing the lands I need and killing their stuff. But whatever. Turn two Seraphic Steed into Savage Smash into Beaver was enough for that game. And then one of the other games, my opponent literally played a rare every turn starting from turn two of the game, and they were on the play, and I was just like, all right, well, that's what happens to good old to the Broncos,
The
like
Broncos.
it's
Orange Crush, not crushing
yeah,
it. Sounds
yeah.
like the Broncos these
Didn't
days.
play great defense. Um,
Didn't play good offense either.
yeah, just did
Just
nothing.
they
Just
showed up.
played Broncos. We put Broncos on the battlefield on the field, and then we got crushed.
Yep, sounds about right.
Yeah, so I feel like it's only because I named the deck that. And
Hmm.
if I'd named it anything else, I would have dominated. But then I just decided, all right, let's run that back because we can't let that be our arena open experience. I want
Hmm.
to at least win one game.
Yeah.
Uh, and then my second pool was also very, very strong. But it was green blue and it had like Oko, just a really solid collection of green blue cards. But in particular, it had the combo that I've been wanting to play this entire format and has never worked out for me, which is Archive Trap plus Slick Shot Lockpicker.
Yeah, buddy.
Yes, so Archive Trap mills 13 cards. Slick Shot Lockpicker is the card that like targets an instant or sorcery in your graveyard and gives it flashback, so you can mill another 13. That would be a total of 26. And just for good measure, I also had a Deep Muck Desperado in the deck and chucked that one in there. And so I just have this like really solid green blue deck that like basically the game plan was like distract them with Oko
Hmm.
and then wait till they get to 26 or fewer cards, and then bam, bam, like you're gone. And I won five out of the seven games. So I went the whole way. I think I went 7-1. I won at least five. I remember winning one game by damage, but I don't remember. And I remember winning at least five by milling, but I don't
Hmm.
remember what happened in
The last one.
the other one. But consistently, I'd be sitting there with like, okay, so the game plan is to like make them commit resources to the Oko. I'm gonna I'm just gonna hide this slick shot lockpicker over here. And then we're gonna wait till you get to 26 cards, and then I'm gonna archive trap on your end step. And it happens so often that my opponent would search their library or something, and I'm like, well, I don't know why you did that. You done
Yeah.
fucked up. Free archive
Boom. Yeah.
trap. Like I was like, I don't know if it's gonna work. Like it takes my whole turn, but I really need to commit to the board. So I'd commit to the board, and then they would attack with Servant of the Stinger or something.
Oh,
I'd
sure.
be
Yeah,
like,
and
no
they
blocks on
tutor.
that, no
No,
blocks. Please
no.
go for it. Get any card you want. And that was just some of the most fun in a format where I've had a lot of fun. That was the most fun because it was like I built this combo deck and it combo like I drew really well, obviously, because I just
Hmm.
was consistently 26U, 26U,
Hmm.
26U. Won one game with just like Deep Muck Desperado because I had a ton of removals, so I was just like constantly targeting stuff.
Yeah.
And my opponent kept killing other things. And I was like, okay, well, this is
This is
problem.
the
This is the card you need to kill.
yeah.
Um,
Oh man. You know what? Honestly, I think it's like the late night ones. Like I played right like 9 in the morning is when I was playing.
oh yeah, you're playing against the Sharks.
Yeah, so and every time I've been able to day two, it was like after work at like midnight. I came in and I was like, all right, I'm gonna play, and then I'm able
Yeah.
to like do
Oh
that.
yeah. This was just like pushing midnight or like 11 or whatever.
Hmm.
Just having beers and like
Yeah,
laughing
that's
maniacally as I mill people out.
exactly. I
Like
think that's exactly what I got to do when I'm like next time. I'll probably try to shoot for that. But Jeff, what happened to your day two? What you made it
okay,
to day two? So what
I
happened there?
did. Yeah. So in day two, I jumped into a draft. When did I do the draft? 9 or 10 in the morning, just kind of like on my phone while my partner's mostly watching my son. I was like, oh, unfortunately, there's a timeline on when I have to do this draft, so
Hmm.
got to jump in the draft. And I'm really proud of the way I drafted this, actually. It was a really tough seat. I ended up in blue black with, I think, a really strong deck, but it had two um, names are eluding me, but the two drop that gets bigger when you commit crimes, and
Oh, the hunter thing? Yeah,
it
the
can drain for one.
hmm
And I had two Lazav, and then I even had the rare version, the two drop that gets a counter every time, and it ends up turning into this big flying
Vadmir, yeah.
monstrosity.
hmm
I had a ton of ways to target. I was even because I had so many um, payoffs for committing crimes. I was even playing a card I don't generally like to play, which is Skullduggery, just because of like an
hmm
ultra cheap way to like
Committed
pump up
crime.
all my stuff.
hmm
And the draft itself was really difficult because I think even in my first pack, I was deciding between the two drop black card and Marchesa. And I was kind of like, well, if I end up in the deck where the black card is good, I kind of wish I would taken this Marchesa. But I ended up deciding to like be a little more disciplined and
hmm
let's just take the
Take the blood hustler.
black card that's going to be better in more
Most.
decks from
hmm
pick one. And then like all this green started flowing, and I was like, oh. So then I was taking sort of medium to pretty good black cards over some green cards that I really liked. And then I saw like a Lazav kind of wheeled around, and I was like, oh, I should have taken Chase. But I took the
hmm
Lazav. And then in pack two, there was a lot of really strong white cards. And then weirdly, in the middle of the pack, there's just like a snakeskin veil in every single pack that I see.
Oh
I'm just like,
man.
what is going on? Like, there's somebody over here who ended up drafting these green cards and has like seven snakeskin veils. But in the end, like, and there was some, uh, in sort of the middle-ish of pack two, inexplicably, there was oh my God, what is wrong with me tonight? But the dragon that like shoots things whenever you play a creature.
Oh, Terror of the
Uh,
Peaks?
Terror of the Peaks. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but there's not a great blue or black card. I'm gonna stash this in the
hmm
sideboard. And then no red cards showed up, no green cards showed up, no white cards showed up for the rest of the draft, and just like black and blue. And I was like, I've literally been tempted by every single color except black and blue. Decided to take like few power level cuts to take the right card and keep
hmm
myself open to whatever comes, and just got rewarded in the end with just like blue black, blue black, blue black, blue black.
Nice.
And like I just had a really high powered blue black deck with, all of these cards that pay you off for committing crimes, and then a couple of like the blue Swords to Plowshares card that those were like flying around the table. The -4 -0 draw card.
Oh yeah, yeah, the yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that card was insane in my deck.
Wait, take the
Uh,
fall? Yeah.
yeah, and just had an awesome deck. And so jump into round one right after the draft because I was pumped. It's like, yeah,
hmm
really happy with how I drafted that. And then I play a really tight match against a super, super high-powered green-white deck. Again, Seraphic Steed immediately hits the board. And there's like all these other, and I'm controlling stuff with my take the falls so that they can't like crew it.
Oh
Kind of
wow.
like, because it has to be at sorcery speed, and like they
hmm
have everything they had lifelink. Every fucking card had lifelink. It was the
hmm
Seraphic Steed, it was the Griff, and they had a bunch of
hmm
friggin' creatures that sat in.
Mouse, yeah.
Anyways, we're like, yeah, skullduggery, and we're just like, but I had two of the two drops and then a Lazav, so my things were getting huge, and eventually we were able to control their board and like kill their thing, and then copy their Griff with my Lazav, and then like bash them in the face to like really swing the race back in my favor. It
hmm
was just a really great match. Well, game one was really great, tightly played, and I ended up just barely like edging it out against like a mitt full of green white rares too. They also, yeah, they did. I think it was Seraphic Steed into um, that fucking three drop that puts counters and then doubles it and shit.
Oh,
I was
ornery
like,
tumblewag.
what is happening to me in this event? But somehow we beat that. Game two, they just didn't really get much going.
Draw. Yeah.
And I had the exact same fucking draw of like the two drop into the three
hmm
drop into a bunch of interaction. And I love, oh, that's what it was too. I had the frog that
Oh yeah.
So it was Frog into like Lazav into like the two drops that and I was
Vadmir and
just
the
like
Blood
every
Hustler.
time just
Yeah.
attacking and giving you -3, -0, and then you try to block it, but then I give that -4, -0.
Hmm.
Yeah, or Skullduggery. Haha, gotcha.
Hmm.
So it was a really fun deck to play. I think I played it pretty well. Went 1-0. And then I was like, okay, cool. I looked at the event screen. You know what I'm talking about? Like
Yeah,
where it
yeah, yeah.
says you have 1-0. And on the side, there's all the details. And it says you can play till 3 p.m.
Hmm.
before you have to finish this draft. But everything I've ever read, this is my fault, but everything I've ever read on Arena Opens or but anything has always been in Pacific time. And so in my head, I was like, I have till 3 p.m.
Oh.
Pacific. Be and I didn't think too much about it. I just like looked over, I was like, 3 p.m. That sounds later than I was expecting. But maybe they changed it. Anyways, that's great. I have till 3 p.m. Pacific time.
Hmm.
And so like I literally like went to get a haircut at 1. Like it was the also the highways closed in Hamilton that weekend. And so the street that would normally take me less than 10 minutes to drive to the place to get the haircut, and it took like 25 both ways because I was somehow in the busy direction both times.
Mm.
So I got home at like 2:30 and that's, my son's napping. So I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, now I can finish that draft. Plenty of time, no
Oh
problem. I
no.
jump in 2:30 and it says like you have 30 minutes to finish this event. And I was like, what? Oh no. And so I'm like, well, we could do this. We can win a match in less than 30 minutes,
Hmm.
then join a new
Concede.
match, and
Concede.
then I only need
Or
3 wins to move to the next round. So
oh
like as long
sure.
as I get that third match in
Start it.
before
Right.
3 p.m., then I can win it.
Hmm.
And I don't know if it even works that way, but that's what I was telling myself. And I played against the literal world's slowest opponent I've ever
Oh.
played against. Like they literally took max time on every decision. And I was sitting there like, should I just concede this and jump in? Because I was losing game 1.
Hmm.
And but at that point, I was just like, now I don't know if I have enough time to legitimately win a whole match. And then
Yeah.
so I ended up winning. I lost game 1, and then I won the next 2 games. And so I won that match, and it was like 3:02 when I was done. And I had 23 minutes on my clock, and my opponent had 3 or 4 minutes left on their clock, like arena clock. And
Oh,
it's like
that's
they
so
just took the
annoying.
max time on everything. And some of it was not a decision that needed to really be thought through. I'm guessing my opponent was on their fourth match or whatever, so it was like no
Do or
rush.
die.
There's no
Yeah.
rush for them.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, although I thought maybe I'd get paired against someone with a similar record, so we would have this
Oh,
understanding that
well,
like, hey,
Jeff,
we
there was
gotta fucking bang
no
this
one
out.
else made
Yeah.
the mistake you made,
Yeah, I
obviously.
know. I was like, maybe I got so because it took a little while to find someone too, and I was like, oh, they found another 1-0. Like we're both gonna understand. Like we
Hmm.
gotta bang this one out. My opponent did not have that understanding,
No,
and
no, no.
so I went 2-0 in that draft, 2-0 drop, and yeah, it's just I have a long history of not understanding when I'm supposed to be somewhere for a Magic tournament and
Yeah.
when I'm supposed to complete something by. And
Hmm.
it only seems
It's
to happen to me when I'm playing well too. Like if I'm playing like dog shit, I seem to know
mhm.
exactly when to finish my matches.
Hmm.
But
Yeah. It's like I think it even comes back like the first time we were like doing the podcast, you like didn't wake up and sign in time. And
yeah,
like that was like one of the first episodes.
yep. Because there's the sign in window and it says you
Hmm.
have all day to play, but you have to sign in the first hour. I
Yeah.
still think that's
And like
silly.
I mean, they've
But now I
changed a
have the
couple things,
opposite
but
problem where I'm like, why don't
mhm.
they let me start at 6 a.m.? Fuck. Like my
Yeah,
kid's gonna be up in 2 hours and then I'll have less time to play.
that's true. As opposed to it's Sunday morning. I was drinking last night. I can't
Yeah,
wake
yeah,
up
leave
that
me
early.
alone.
Yeah.
I have to be up by 11. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, yeah. Oh man. Anyway, bad beats, man. I'm sorry that you have once again gotten bested by the
100% my fault
times.
though.
Yeah.
Like I remember having the thought that like it seems really late. Like that's
Mm.
6 p.m. But then I just went with it. So
Well, I mean,
uh,
like that morning when you said that uh, day two and all that, I had a thing in the back of my mind that was like, remind Jeff to read the rules. I was
Yeah.
like, nah, I don't have to
Carefully,
do that. He knows, he knows.
carefully. Yeah.
I was
Well,
like,
the other
go
thing is I
check.
didn't think it would take like my haircut was scheduled for 1. I didn't think I'd get back at 2:35 or whatever.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. If it's scheduled at 1, you think that you're leaving by like 1:30, 1:20, and then
Yeah.
like you're back by 2 at least.
Yeah. I thought I'd be back by 2, yeah. And then
Hmm.
I'd definitely have time to finish, but well, it might have been a little tight, but um it
Probably
was
still
just
tight.
a confluence of events.
Classic.
But
Anyway,
if I win like 3, then I could just concede the last one and then be like,
that's
okay,
true.
I got 3 matches,
Hmm.
right? So
And then you have to immediately jump into a new draft
yeah.
and then be able to finish that before the timer. It's
Yeah.
just a lot. It's a lot of Magic. Magic tournaments are just a lot.
Yeah, it's just honestly, it's just a bit too much to like. I have to finish 8 matches by 6 p.m. or whatever. I wish the window was a little longer and like,
Hmm.
you know, my brain is being like, people live in other countries. They should get to play too. But really, I'm just like, it would benefit me if this
Hmm.
timeline was a little longer.
Yeah, yeah. One day, when your
Anyway, they still
kids
had
are
fun.
when your kids
Yeah.
are off to college, you'll have free time to
Yeah.
play play the arena open. That'll be when we're drinking prune juice. Just kidding. We
That's
won't be
right.
that old by that point. But
We'll be drinking prune IPAs.
ooh, all right. Made by Whitewater. Sounds tasty.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, after all that, that's almost like a whole episode's worth of
I know. Yeah.
stuff. Let's talk about a few cards that we're interested before we sign off here. Um, Man, I feel like there's just a million cards that came out since we last talked. It's crazy.
Yeah. Now we did leave a little bit of left a joke at the end of last
We
episode about a
did, we
card.
did.
So I guess
I
we should talk about
We
that card.
should.
But
Do you want to bring it up? I have it up in front of me, but just in case I'm wrong, how about you start us off?
okay, so the card I was thinking of when I said that was Amped Raptor.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
This is 1 and a red for a 2/1 first strike dinosaur. When it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters. Then, if you cast it from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card by paying an amount of energy equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. So, a lot of people have been talking about this card.
Hmm.
Um, this card is definitely interesting. I like the way they've sort of riffed on the cascade mechanic here
Hmm.
because sort of there's 2 things that go on with cascade. One is you play it for value. You know you're going to get a second spell off this, but that tends to be balanced by the fact that you don't know what that spell is, and it's
Hmm.
in some sense weaker than this one because it's
You
a
didn't
lower mana value.
yeah, you didn't mean to cast it, so it might not be
Right.
situationally
So,
the
so the
right time.
classic is like you play Bloodbraid Elf to beat your opponent down when their hand is empty, and you flip Thoughtseize every time.
Yeah.
But or you're at 2. It's always
Yeah.
Thoughtseize if you're at 2. Never
Hmm.
cast Bloodbraid Elf. But
Hmm.
the other thing you do with Cascade is you hack it so that it can only hit the thing you want it to hit
Hmm.
by only including those cards of that mana value. So if it has Cascade 2 or 3 or whatever, you only include 1 card that has less than 2 mana value. So it must hit this. This card or this method of like weirdo energy cascade kind of takes that second one, but makes it fair, right? Where it's like, it's insisting that you do the second one because if you just have 3 drops in your deck and 4 drops in a normal deck, this is going to do nothing. The first one is going to do
Hmm.
nothing. It's just going to be a 2/1 first strike.
Yeah.
But then they mitigate it, but then it's a fair result because you're just playing a bunch of 2 drops and this one gets one for free.
Hmm.
And then they mitigate that by you can stack it. The first one might do nothing, but the second one can hit a
Hmm.
4 drop. I don't love that because like then that's when you hit a one drop for sure is when you have the four energy. And you're like, haha, now I can cast a four drop if I hit it.
Hmm.
That's when you hit a one drop. But it's definitely interesting. I think other people think this is better than I think it is, but I definitely
Hmm.
understand why people are going to build red decks that cap out at two, and then this is like a two mana 2/1 first strike that casts something for free.
Like lightning bolt or like
I would be
Ragavan or
way more interested if this had haste instead of first strike. But a 2/1 first
ins.
strike for two just doesn't seem
That's
playable in the
true.
formats that this set is targeting. So
It's true.
like,
It dies to Bowmasters. It, yeah. I don't know. The first strike. No, I definitely see what you're saying. I know a lot of hype is that Amped Raptor. Um, also, I was talking to Hamhawks about this on
hmm.
Twitter, but Amped Raptor sounds so much like a Mountain Dew flavor.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's the hype.
it's like yeah, Amped Raptor, Code Red or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, I
It's
could
just
see that.
it's
Yeah, the
such an
label on that.
energy drink vibe. I love it. If they don't make Amped Raptor as like an energy drink and it's like red, like food coloring all over the place, Wizards, what's going on? Come on, Amped Raptor. But
Like if
anyway,
Mountain Dew sponsored the Toronto Raptors.
oh,
But
oh shit, that would be sick.
yeah,
Um, but also Magic was involved somehow. We just need
yeah,
a famous NBA player to play Magic, and then we're golden.
yeah,
Um, but anyway, yeah, people are talking about this card because when you play it into Crashing Footfalls, you can cast Crashing Footfalls for zero, which is the classic Cascade card in Modern. Rhinos,
yeah.
when you're playing Team of Rhinos or any of those things, because Crashing Footfalls doesn't have a mana cost, you just don't pay energy, right? You just cast it.
Yeah. The problem is like in Cascade, you know you're gonna hit Crashing Footfalls.
Hmm.
This card, like, there's no way to hack your deck so that there are no other non-land cards, right? Like this
It's
card is just gonna hit a different card in your deck
either
the
yeah, yeah.
vast majority of the time.
Well, I mean, that's not true. You can build a deck that's for Amped Raptors and for Crashing Footfalls, but that deck doesn't win.
That deck is quite bad.
Yeah, yeah. But you can do it. It's like the
Yeah.
treasure hunt decks with Thassa's Oracle, where you're playing four treasure hunts and one
Yeah,
Thassa's
yeah.
Oracle and a bunch of islands.
Right.
Um,
And I
but
wanted to be like, oh, but if you even if you build that deck, you're just gonna hit another amped raptor. And then my brain is like, oh, it's sweet. You just chain them all, and then you get no.
yeah,
They
no,
made sure that doesn't happen too.
because you have to cast
So
it from your hand for it to work. So then I guess you just if you play that deck, you have one Amped Raptor and you mulligan till you get it.
I don't see a world where this is better way of doing rhinos than the classical Cascade world. And the problem with it is it blows up the Cascade plan too. So you can't just jam it in the Cascade deck because you're going to Cascade into this thing.
Hmm.
So
That you then don't get to do the double cascade
right,
thing.
and you don't get to chain. So I don't know. I actually don't think this is like replacing the Cascade cheater part. That's what I'm
Hmm.
saying. Like I to me, this is a
This is
Cascade.
a fair
This is
deck.
like the fair version of you have to build your deck knowing that you can like hit whatever you cast whatever you hit.
Hmm.
So it's like the combination of both, where it's like the fair but huge deck building requirement.
Yeah.
Um,
Or
but
you're
it
just
does have advantages over the fair version of sometimes you only use one of this energy, and then the next one lets you do three.
that's true. Or you're just your deck is utilizing more energy than
Yeah,
you
or
if
totally.
you
Yeah.
just need a couple more cards, like a one drop that cares about energy, and your deck caps out at four, and or even three, and you're aggressive. Like I agree that if it had haste, it would be a lot better. But the red land, I don't think it works specific. I mean, like you could play it with this card if you wanted to. We haven't talked about them, but there is a rare land cycle, all monocolored, and the red one basically makes it so that you can give your creature haste. Um,
Yeah.
at a steep cost, but like
Yeah,
old school Magic cost, like your land doesn't untap cost.
right. Yeah. So I don't know. I really like the idea here. I think this incentivizes the cool things about Cascade, which is like, ooh, build your deck in this way and get rewarded for it.
Hmm.
Um, without just reducing to the broken thing about Cascade, which is like, oh yeah, always just like cascade into something that is cheaper, but really is a
But
lot more
it's
expensive.
never cheaper. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like one mana and 4 turns of time, and you're like,
right.
okay, well,
Yeah. And Cascade just doesn't know about the turns of like the suspense. So
yeah, it's like just doesn't care. Um, yeah, I like I
that being said,
like
I think it's too fair for the formats that it's being presented in. I think if this was like this would be a strong standard card.
totally.
Yeah.
The other thing is like this is an uncommon, so like, but people are talking about like the reason we're bringing this up is because people are talking about this card as if it is better than every rare in the set and is the best card of the entire set.
Right. Yeah. I'm ready to be proven wrong about this card, that maybe this does dominate modern and timeless, but I won't be the one building those decks and starting out. Someone else is going to find that deck
Hmm.
and whoop my ass with it,
I mean,
and
the fair
then
thing
I'll
of
be
like
convinced.
playing all 2 drops, 2 and 1 drops basically, and Amped Raptor goes and gets you your Bowmasters.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fine with that. All those things sound great to me. That deck sounds cool to me.
Yeah.
Like maybe you're playing basically like the uh the combo deck with what's it called? Underworld Breach and all that.
Yeah. The
Like,
problem is like fair decks generally want a card that you would play anyways, and then
yeah.
a little upside
And this
from
is
like
not a
the randomness, and a 2/1 first strike is just not good enough.
no 2/2 first strike.
Even then, right? Like that's why I just think haste is the key here. If it had haste, you can be like in for two immediately. I'm so
Hmm.
much more in than like I don't know, first strike. First strike doesn't really do anything in timeless, so
I mean, it blocks Ragavan. It attacks into stuff. It can like attack into some things. I just think the one toughness is the bad part.
the one toughness is the worst part for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Um, but and that's why like haste is the only keyword I would accept for one toughness because then at least I got
Gotcha.
my two damage kind of thing.
Before it dies. Okay, I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying now. Okay. Yeah. Bummer. Bummer, man.
But I'm not a buyer on that one, not a believer. But
But I will
hey,
buy.
willing,
I'll
yeah,
buy a case of that energy drink though. So,
yeah, that's right.
Amped Raptor.
I do love
Um,
that way of using energy too. I think that's a cool way to use energy because I
I
think
think.
they explored so many of the ways to use energy previously that
Mhm.
like this new kind of casting spells with it
Yeah.
is interesting.
Well, I mean, if we want to talk about casting spells with energy, we got to talk about that enchantment if I can find it. I didn't have it lined up for the next thing, but I definitely want to talk about it because I think it's super
Yeah.
cool.
I have it if you want me to read it.
Yeah, could you read it for us?
Sure. It's called Primal Prayers. It's two green green for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you get two energy. And then it says you may cast creature spells with mana value three or less by paying energy rather than paying their mana costs. If you cast a spell this way, you may cast it as though it had flash. And by energy, I mean one energy,
Thank you.
not like three energy for a three drop, two
Hmm.
energy. Yeah, I read it as energy, and I was like, I gotta circle back to that because the way I read it made it sound like, yeah,
Yeah, that's the first thing I was going to say after you read
yeah.
that was whoa, 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 whoa. So this is a 4 mana enchantment. I don't love that part, but it does give you energy right away and things that you could cast
You immediately
creatures,
cast two creatures.
2 creatures at flash
Yeah.
speed,
This is like, it's sort of like energy Coco, but the creatures have to come from your hand.
but also like you can choose when you want to have each one come into play.
True. Yeah, you can instead of flashing them both in at the same time, you do get to do a split kind of flash thing.
Yeah. Um, this card's awesome. This is exactly the type of thing that I'm down for. All my favorite creatures are 3 mana or less.
Yeah.
Like this is it. You could even flash in your raptor at end step, then on your turn it basically has flash.
This is also really
Or
good,
sorry,
like
it has haste is what I was trying
yeah,
to say.
yeah. As it basically has flash.
Yeah,
It
it
does have
does have
flash in
flash. It
that scenario,
basically
Zach.
has haste. It basically has
Yeah.
haste. Sorry, that's the beer talking.
Yeah. Um, I love how this makes like this is a actual reason for me to play other cards that generate energy. A lot of
Hmm.
energy cards you see, it's like, all right, well, am I really gonna like play other energy generators just for this one?
Hmm.
And like, the Raptor's an example of that because it's like I either commit to the Raptor not sucking and make a deck full of cheap cards, or I play energy. It doesn't seem right to
I'm playing
play
like
like
Aether
energy
Hub, like
generators.
trying to like generate energy in Timeless. Like,
But
ugh.
this one is like trade one energy for a flat for flashing in a creature. That's a reason to play other energy generators in my deck.
Hmm.
That's a reason to put Aether Hubs in. That's a reason to put even like, the stupid 1 mana one that gets 2 energy and finds a land. Like,
Hmm. Oh
now
yeah,
we're talking. Now we're talking. If I just start flashing in all my creatures for every energy I have, like that's a real payoff.
yeah. This card. What was the? I think you can play Green Belt. What's that elephant?
Oh, right.
Greenbelt Rampager.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
Greenbelt Rampager is a single green, so it's a 1 drop for a 3/4. It's an elephant creature. When it enters the battlefield, you can pay 2 energy. If you can't, return it to its owner's hand and you get 1 energy.
Right.
So what you can do with this, if you have both of these on the battlefield, you can use one of when you play the enchantment, use one of the energy, play this. You don't have another energy. You don't have 2 energy, so you can't pay for it. You have to return it to your hand, and you can keep doing that over and over again. And you have a cycle of infinite ETB triggers. So as
Right.
long as you have something that can kill your opponent by creatures entering the battlefield, you can win. I don't have that card on the top of my head.
Right. I'm
I
sure
guess
there's one.
there's something you could do,
Yeah, something exists for that.
but that is immediately a card that could go into this deck, even if it's just on turn one, get an energy for whatever other reasons you might need, which is what it was made for
Ooh,
originally.
I'm in for this energy creature beatdown deck with the backup
Oh
combo plan. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm in for that.
this is and it's green, probably green red.
Uh,
Mm. I mean, like I liked the what's the pulverizer's name? That the energy creature that like doubles its power if you use
oh
energy.
yeah, electrostatic pummeler.
Yes, that card was fucking sick. You like put a bunch of pump spells on it, and then you keep doubling its power during combat, so your opponent takes like 176 damage or something stupid. Um, so good, so good.
Now I'm trying to find like I don't even know how to search for this, but now I want to find a creature that has
Hmm.
the impact tremors kind of ability, right? Like
Can we just
because
play Impact Drivers?
but I want to play a creature if
Oh
I
sure, oh
can.
sure, sure, sure,
But
sure.
yeah, Impact Tremors is the card that kills with those other two.
That's true. I mean, like not nearly as exciting. I mean, you're saying you want a creature because it works with the enchantment, right?
Yeah, because then it's yeah, can flash it in, and then the whole combo, other than this card, is then at instant speed.
Jeff, Jeff, I found it. Okay. So not only do we have one in this set, but we've had them previously. Again, they are red, of course, because they deal damage. But in Modern Horizons 3, we do have Molten Gatekeeper, which is 2 and a red for a 2/3 artifact creature golem. It says whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, the Gatekeeper deals 1 damage to each opponent. It also has Unearth for a single red, which is very
Ooh,
versatile. So that sounds like exactly the card that we want
yeah.
for this deck. Um, There is redundancy with like Witty Roast Master, which is from New Capenna. It has the same top text. It's like a 3 mana 3/2 that whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you deal damage to each opponent, but it doesn't have Unearth. So
Mm.
I don't know. Do
So
we
it's the
need?
worst version. It's like
It's
maybe
the
version number 5 or
5.
whatever.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
could. It might be like number 5, but the fact that we get it in the set itself, that's pretty great. Um,
Plus, you can do the whole like innkeeper and get the infinite life combo out of it.
that's true.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like Gatekeeper works with anything else if we want to discard cards for any reason, or like it gets blown up, we can bring it back. I don't
Oof.
know,
And keeper is in both innkeeper and gatekeeper, so we could maybe come up with a name that
like
plays on that. I think we're
Energy Keeper.
yeah, we're brewing. We're onto something
Hmm.
here. And nobody else will have thought of it.
Definitely not, but I like that. That seems cool. What a
Yeah.
fun deck.
Yeah. The only thought I have about Molten Gatekeeper is that, like it really doesn't play that well into the beatdown plan. Because it kind of does. Like it pings them when we
As a
play
two,
creature.
yeah, I mean, like, it's not, you don't want to just cast it as a 3 drop.
In formats where this is legal, it's that's not gonna be super slow. But you know what? Like in formats where this is legal, you really just want to plan A the combo thing anyways and just be all in on
Exactly.
it.
I think that's really what we want to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Where
Plan A the
Innkeeper's
combo.
is great then because it accelerates you into the enchantment.
Exactly. Um, but we probably want, what do we want? Ramp on 1, ramp on 2/3 into 4. Oh
Yeah,
no,
this is like a turn 3 kill, I guess.
yeah, because then we
Like
totally.
you have the gatekeeper and the elephant and
Hmm.
this, and you have to ramp into this somehow.
Yeah, I think that works.
Servant of the conduit.
No, I guess we no, we literally just need those three, right? Because you
Yeah.
you play uh the innkeeper on turn 2. Turn 3, you have 3 lands plus the treasure. Play the enchantment. You can play both of these off of the energy you get, and then
Yeah.
keep it going.
And there are a lot of matchups where infinite life is good enough. There are
Hmm.
some where it's not, but there are a lot where it is. Not for us online players. I don't love infinite life combos, but
Yeah,
because it's really just like
your clock.
hit, like chew your clock up and then
Hmm.
yeah. But
Be that guy. Don't be that guy.
yeah. And you need to do it like a lot more than the 20 times you need for infinite damage because
Hmm.
you need to feel safe.
Yeah.
Uh,
How safe? How high do you have to be before you feel safe?
Depends on the matchup. If I'm against Burn, gaining 30 is probably good enough.
That's
But
enough. Getting
yeah,
10.
yeah. I mean, honestly, against Burn, it's like 6. See ya. Like your deck is designed to deal exactly 20.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Some of these Burn decks are designed to deal like 15 damage, and they assume you'll friggin' fetch and shock yourself into
Yeah.
that
Help
range.
you. Oh God, it's so funny. Um, yeah. Man, I that deck, that I think that card is so sweet. Just the one that we were just talking about. I'm
Oh
excited for
yeah,
Primal Prayers.
I'm in.
Um,
I'm in.
yeah,
I think we have a tier 2 timeless deck on our hands
I
here.
think so. Um, there's another kind of fun deck that is also infinite combo-y with other things with creatures enter the battlefield doing fun stuff. Um,
Lay it on me.
okay, so you know the card Springheart Nantucko?
Never heard of it.
Okay, so Springheart Nantucko is
I would
Nantuko.
say Nantuko. That's what
It's
I've been
Nantuko.
saying. But
All right, Springheart Nantuko. I knew I was saying it weird. It's 1 and a green for a 1/1 enchantment creature, insect monk at rare. It has bestow. So if you don't remember,
that's why I ignored this card.
yeah. So this is why I looked at it.
Yeah.
So bestow is a this is a like a ability from original Theros block where you can bestow a creature onto another creature as an aura. So And then when that creature dies, this becomes a creature, and then that's the that's that's the story. So if you
Can I
bestow
just
this,
interject for a quick second that when
yeah,
this came out, this was so fucking weird.
it
This was
was
like, what the hell is this? What are they doing to Magic? Like there were literally people, out crying about this ability
bestow.
just being so strange. You wouldn't bat an eye at this if this was a new ability these days. Like we have
No.
stuff like we have reconfigure and whatever. Like this is
Well, that's because we had to go through the bestow phase of people, but that's how they do it. They slowly
right.
get you like acclimated, and then you're okay. Um,
And
also,
I was fine with it at the time. I just didn't like this set very much. But I didn't think this was. I thought this was kind of like cool.
I
The
thought
whole
it was
idea of aura slash creature or split card kind
uh,
of thing.
it was their like it's one of the ways they've tried to give auras card advantage. Where like if you
Yeah.
kill the creature, it's still a creature. The aura
Right.
falls off into a creature. They
Yeah.
were just costed so horribly that you couldn't
Yeah.
play
The
them
cards themselves were bad, but
because they were
yeah.
worried that they'd be too good, and so they made the numbers so bad.
And then
It
in limited, I remember the like control magic one was stupid as hell. It's just like,
yeah.
okay, so you steal my thing, and if I kill it, you get a creature. Like what? No, this
Yeah, yeah.
is
It's
not a fun limited card.
literally just like it had the Kamigawa treatment,
Yeah,
which this card itself kind of looks like it's from Kamigawa, actually.
it actually
Strangely,
does. Yeah, the art does look
even though it's
very
a Nantuko,
Kamigawa.
and
Yeah,
Nantuko is like a Dominaria thing. But anyway,
and then it's
um,
a Theros kind of card
it's all
with
weird.
the bestow. Yeah,
Anyway, it's a 2 mana 1/1 that bestows for 2. It gives enchanted creature +1/+1, but this bestow creature slash enchantment also has landfall. So it says whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you can pay 1 and a green if it is attached to a creature you control. If you do, you create a token of the copy of the creature it's bestowing. Otherwise, you just create a 1/1 green insect creature token. So at baseline, this is just a 2 mana 1/1 that makes an insect every time you play a land. But if you're
wait,
bestowing.
I think I figured out where we're going with this.
Okay, so this is actually something that Veggie Wagon came up with this, and I saw a video, but I had seen this card before and was like, oh, I'm sure we can break this. And then Veggie Wagon
Right.
posted something. I was like, that's how you break it, and that's what I want to do. So what you can do is you can bestow this creature onto a land creature.
Oh,
So if you make like uh whatever what's the fucking creature that's in Pioneer everywhere? It's like the main what the hell is it called? Just the colorless 2/2 that's
Mutavault.
Mutavault. If you
Hmm.
put this on a Mutavault and you happen to have a like Lotus Cobra on the battlefield, if you play a land, you can get the mana from the Lotus Cobra and the land that you played, tap it, make a copy of the creature. It enters the battlefield. You make another mana. You can pay both of those and keep going and have infinite triggers of enters the battlefield and make a million copies of Mutavault.
I love it. Yeah.
Pretty sweet. Very mana intensive because to get all of it together, you have to be able to like I don't know what the actual mana is. Like it costs 1 to animate Mutavault, right?
Yeah, it costs one.
So it costs 1 to animate Mutavault, then you have to pay 2 more to get this on top of it, and you need the uh, the Lotus Cobra on the battlefield already, and then play a land. But I don't know. That's pretty early, and like I guess it's not. It doesn't actually cost that much mana because you can tap the Mutavault that you're enchanting for mana. So um, not crazy. Turn
It's a little crazy, but
It's a little
it's
crazy. You need a lot
yeah,
of stuff. It's not nearly as the other deck we were talking about, like Primal Prayer, seems like really. I want to build that.
sounds
This is
better.
just more of a thought experiment,
Yeah,
but pretty cool. Like
definitely is cool.
I just like that they're bringing this ability bestow, and there's multiple cards that have bestow in this set that do the same thing. Where it's like, hey, here's a cool bestow creature that's like going to be an enchantment sometimes or whatever, but it also gives you landfall or mentor or some other mechanic that would make this bestow enchantment better or even this creature better if you just played it by itself. Um, it just makes it so it's like always better when you bestow it, which I really like.
When
So,
when I said I thought I knew where we're going with this, I thought was my thought was like even more complicated, but it was like we're gonna have like bounce lands and amulet to untap them, so they tap for this every
mm,
time. The token taps for this mana cost itself, and we somehow just have to turn
oh,
that bounce land into a creature. So we have amulet, we have our bounce land, we have to turn that into a creature, enchant it with this, and then we get like the bounce land copies that tap for the next
the
one. And then we need a way to make all those tapped creatures like matter. So
yeah,
then you need your impact tremors kind of thing. I
yeah,
did not
exactly.
know where we
Which,
were going with it, but I was like, it's got to be bounce lands for sure to tap for the one in the green on their own.
well, I just mean like we could add the impact tremors, or I don't know, we have infinite mana basically, but on arena once again,
Oh,
you
you
run it.
don't lose the token at end of turn.
No, you just create a token.
Oh, okay. Then you don't need the impact tremors. Yeah, yeah. You could just
You just
untap and kill them.
well, not if we're making copies of lands, because I guess we have infinite. Yeah, never mind. You're right. We have infinite mutavaults. We just animate half of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your scenario kills them. Mine gives me a bunch of bounce lands.
But anyway,
And then we play Primeval Titan.
yeah. But
So what
that's
was the point of the combo?
mhm. But I'm just happy to see a bestow card like, wait, this is really cool. This is powerful and good. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be. It's not really going to see any play, but the ability to do cool things. Bestow hasn't really had any cards in the past that have been super cool. I feel like.
I think this is a great example of what I think is so cool about these Modern Horizons sets is like Bestow and Landfall are just from two completely different sets or
Hmm.
phases of Magic. And it's realistically never going to happen in a standard legal set that these are in the same space. But Modern Horizons lets them just create these one-off cards that have these two different keyword abilities that are from such different times and eras. And like
Hmm.
when you first read this, like how does this even react? Like, does landfall trigger if it's an aura? And of course it does. Why wouldn't it?
Hmm.
But
But yeah,
and then the landfall ability itself tells you,
mhm.
like, actually, this landfall ability only matters if it's an aura.
Kind of. I mean, you still get a 1/1 insect, but it only really matters, right?
Oh, yeah, I totally ignored that last sentence. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So if you just play it as a 2 mana 1/1, you could get it's
Right.
like a baby Scoot Swarm that never makes better Scoot Swarms if it's just there. But
It doesn't do the thing that is like the only conceivable reason to play Scoot Swarm.
yeah,
But,
yeah. Otherwise, Scoot Swarm is not super good. Um, Now, Jeff, I I know I just brought up a card, and I think I brought up the last card, but I have another card I want to bring up.
hey, go for it.
But this one is more so I want to know your opinion and what we could possibly do with this if this is exciting.
Okay,
Um,
lay it on me.
this is Abzan. It's called the Necro Bloom. So it's one
Ooh.
white, black, green for a 2/7 legendary creature plant. It also has landfall. So it says whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 0/1 green plant creature token. If you control 7 or more lands with different names, so the Field of the Dead text, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token instead. And then it says land cards in your graveyard have dredge 2. That's more of the thing I'm interested in, but
Right.
the Field of the Dead text is also interesting.
Yeah, I like the callback to the Field of the Dead.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it being on a creature is like the reason Field of the Dead is good is that it's difficult to interact with,
Yeah.
and it just has this inevitability. I think you're right. That's not why you're playing this card, like the landfall. The 2/7 with landfall, not it's not what it is. Maybe
Hmm.
in standard, you know.
Yeah.
But
Not in
yeah,
timeless.
what does land cards in your graveyard have dredge 2 do for us? I mean, I'm tempted to say it's still bad because you still need a 4 mana creature for this ability to be active, and the type
Hmm.
of deck that can most abuse this ability probably doesn't really want to have to cast a 4 mana creature.
That's three different colors.
But
But
in theory, what would like land cards in your graveyard have dredge 2? It just that feels like a
it
text
feels
box that
busted, right?
yeah, it feels like something that's
It
busted.
feels super busted.
Even
I
if
just,
like it's just my magic like spidey sense is tingling on that sentence. It's like
yeah, it's
that
like,
sounds busted. That
that
sounds like
sounds,
something somebody is gonna fucking break.
if they write the word dredge on any card
Right,
now,
yeah.
I have
Spidey
to look at it.
sense.
Okay, this is also, sorry, arena players, you don't know what dredge does, probably. Sorry, that was a rude thing to say. I apologize. What I meant to say was I should explain what dredge is because not everyone immediately knows what dredge is.
Yeah.
So, dredges, you may return. I'm just reading the text off of this card. So it says land cards in your graveyard have dredge 2. You may return a land card from your graveyard to your hand and mill 2 cards instead of drawing a card. So at the beginning of your turn, if there's a land in your graveyard you would rather have than a random card in your deck, you can mill the top 2 cards of your library and put that land card into your hand. Notoriously, the most busted, like one of the most busted mechanics they've ever made.
Yeah, dredge is super busted. Um, Giving a ton of stuff dredge, it feels busted. The
They're
thing
all.
is, like, the cards that are busted in dredge, it literally just matters the number. The higher the number, the better the dredge card. It's why
Mm-hmm.
Golgari Grave Troll was banned.
Because
Just
it's
because it
dredge
says dredge
6.
6. The rest of the
Yeah.
card doesn't fucking matter. Um,
Because you want as many cards in your graveyard as possible so you can get whatever you
right.
want whenever you want.
Like if you imagine you're a deck that can use your graveyard fully so that a card in your graveyard is worth
Is.
half of a card in your hand, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Like a typical player's card drawing a card takes 2 cards in your graveyard to get a similar amount of value. Dredge 6 means every time you draw 3 because it's converting like that
Mm-hmm.
half 6 cards in your graveyard, right? Dredge 2 would mean every time you draw. Hmm, doesn't feel the best,
It's like, yeah, I guess.
but it ensures you're hitting land drops. That's the thing that
Mm-hmm.
I'm like not sure of the balance here because like when you bring back Golgari Grave Troll, you're bringing back a card that doesn't do anything into your hand and milling 6 over, and you probably have a way to discard that Golgari Grave Troll again.
Yeah.
This is like, okay, you fuel your mill plan while also hitting land drops consistently. So I don't know. That line of text feels strong. I don't think it's strong enough that any deck that wants to do it is going to want to play this creature to do it. But
Yeah. Like, are there cards that were. Is there anything that we're interested in that, like, lands we want? Is this just like.
I mean, I love this card. It's just like a dirtily stupid, like Gitrog kind of themed
It's
card.
in Gitrog colors.
It's in that ballpark, right? But is that's just not something that's going to be
Is.
valuable in
Yeah.
timeless or modern.
Is this a good card or is this a commander card?
Yeah, it's commander card, I
Is
think.
that the
Yeah,
joke? Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Is that our new segment? Is this a
Right.
good card or is this a commander
Good
card?
or commander, yeah.
That's so
It's
rude.
actually a pretty good saying.
It's pretty rude, but it's
We
kind
can
of funny.
reword it,
Yeah.
like yeah.
is, is this worth playing or is this a commander card?
Legacy or
Uh,
commander, is that better?
it makes it sound like we know anything about Legacy.
That's true. I know
Yeah.
nothing about legacy. Is this card timeless or is it
Or is it
or
commander
brawl?
or brawl? That's true. We'll have to workshop that.
Yeah,
If you know a better title for a segment, please let us know at our Discord. It's the link is in the show notes.
yeah,
Jeff, I feel like we're going a little long here. We
yeah. We're
might
going
need
long.
maybe. Is there anything you're excited about? I have some stuff I'm ready to talk about for like next week, but like,
You
is there
know,
anything jumping out at you?
I think one card, and this actually might be a decent card to end on. We've talked a lot about green cards
Hmm.
tonight, but
Yes,
I want to go on another green card here because
for
that
sure.
seems to be the theme.
Hmm.
Um, Something that caught my eye is Birthing Ritual. So this is one in the green for an enchantment. It says at the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may sacrifice a creature. If you do, you may put a creature card with mana value X or less from among those cards onto the battlefield, where X is 1 plus the sacrificed creature's mana value. Put the rest on the bottom in a random order. So, for those who don't know the history, I'm not gonna just going to assume that arena players don't know like Zach would, but for
All
those
right.
who don't know, there's a card called Birthing Pod, which was a artifact that basically did this, but what it did was you would sack a creature and then go get a creature that had X plus one mana value. And so it was more of like a you chain this into like a combo kind of thing. And you could go
Oh,
search your deck.
yeah. You're talking about like Vanifar, right?
Sure, yeah, Vanifar adjacent. The Vanifar original, but it wasn't a creature. And it also like it had some stuff where I think the activated ability and the cost itself was Phyrexian mana. So
Yeah, he was all fire exceed mana.
so the thing cost like 3 mana and then was free to cost 2 life to use kind of thing.
Hmm.
But it dominated modern for a while to the extent where it actually got banned. But it was just you do these birthing pod chains where you play a stupid like mana dork to ramp out the birthing pod, then you upgrade that mana dork to something that kind of interacts with your opponent to throw them off balance. Then you'd upgrade that to like, and next thing you know, it's a siege rhino, and then you upgrade that, and it's like a titan that's making the zombies and whatever.
Hmm.
And then people started moving towards, oh, well, we could just combo kill with this thing. So then it became a combo kill deck. And the main issue with that card was that it really incentivized you to move in that direction of, it's a tutor card,
Hmm.
essentially. So it is the ultimate creature toolbox tutor card and just is creature kill, like creature combo kill. This is functionally does a very similar thing, but the cool thing about this is that it really throws away that incentive to build the combo kill deck by only letting you look at the top 7 and really brings you back into the value train kind of original builds of Birthing Pod, where
Hmm.
it's like you want like various you want like a chain of things that every time you hit the next level in the chain, you get incremental value
Yeah.
because it's so much less likely that you're going to be able to just hit your combo when you're only looking at
Hmm.
7.
The important thing with the combo also is that when you hit a card, it would untap your birthing pod to
Right.
retap it to do the combo. So then
Yeah.
you're only playing stupid combo cards that like I get this 3 drop that's a weird hippo thing, but it untaps my birthing pod. So I
Right.
get to continue doing this over and over again. And you show your opponent, I'm gonna do the chain, but I'm searching my deck once, but I'm going to show you I'm doing all of the things.
Yeah, and it's like I have enough life to activate the birthing pod or
Hmm.
whatever. Yeah, that's a
But
good point. That's how
hmm
the combos worked. Is all these kind of pestermites, kind of stupid cards to
yeah,
just a
as a
skip that
level.
mana value,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, this card only triggers once on your end step.
Yeah, and I think the really cool thing that they did with this card, and I still don't know if this card is good enough or whatever.
Or commander.
Yeah, or is it good or commander? I don't know. But
I
the really
hate
cool
it.
thing they did is they let you look at the 7 cards before deciding if you
Hmm.
want to sack the creature for the upgrade. I think if they are like, hey, sack a creature, look at 7, put something up to X+1 and play
Hmm.
instead. It would just be too brutal.
Hmm.
But the fact that at the end step is like, hey, look at the top seven, and then you get to choose if one of those seven is more valuable than a creature like you have in play. Um, that part I think is like it's kind of maybe obvious in retrospect, but like the little genius in card design of how do we make this actually interesting or worthwhile?
Instead of just like,
Because
hey,
most Magic cards are templated like sack something if you do look at seven and replace.
and cross your fingers.
Yeah.
Um, the question I have with this is that if you're in that scenario where you don't want to sack your creature, do you look at the top seven cards of your library and then just not sack a creature so you put them back?
You put them
Or
on the bottom.
or do you actually put them on the bottom?
Yeah, I think you put them on the bottom no matter what.
Okay. Just because I was wondering, because it says then you sacrifice a creature.
And it does
If
say
you
put the
do,
rest, right?
blah, blah,
But
blah,
I'm
blah,
pretty
blah.
sure, yeah, you put them on the bottom.
It would make most sense that you wouldn't just like have the knowledge of the
It's
top
not just
seven.
like stack the top seven.
Well, not even
Yeah.
stack. Just look at them and be
Just
like,
yeah,
"You're
you just
fucked."
look at 2 mana, look at the top seven.
2 minute. Look at the top seven. Feel bad when you can't look at the top seven next turn.
Yeah.
You know.
Look at the top seven, concede.
Look at the top seven. Brainstorm. Rearrange
Yeah.
the top three or two,
Do
and
you
then
love the feeling of being brainstorm locked? I just
yeah,
wish it could happen all the time.
exactly.
Well, do we have the card for you?
Birthing ritual. 2 mana, as long as you got a creature, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, but I agree. I think this is I love when they're able to try to bring back a design that was broken the first time and then they actually need to like fix it.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's pretty fixed. Like, is it going to be good? I don't know.
Right.
Um, but it seems
They
cool.
tend to overfix for sure.
Hmm.
It's rare that they hit like a powerful card that's not broken, you know. Um, I think they maybe undershot it with this one. I think this could have been 10 cards, but
Okay. 10? Yeah, yeah, I guess like fifth of your deck.
yeah.
It's like sixth, but really by the no, by the time you play this it's fifth, so I like it.
I haven't
I,
run the numbers on that. That's just like my gut feeling.
okay.
I would have expected this to be 10, but it's definitely a cool card.
I mean,
And
seven just feels nice because it's like a whole hand's worth, you know?
yeah, yeah, there's a lot of reasons to choose seven, and that's why
Hmm.
it's seven. It's not eight. It's not six, right? Like,
Hmm.
it's seven for that reason. I think the other option is 10 because it's like,
Easy.
humans like 10.
Yeah.
We
He
have
wins like 10. He wins like, yeah, yeah.
10 fingers.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like in a standard set again, sure, seven. But if you're asking for this to see play in modern and timeless, not sure seven's enough. But I love the design. That's why I wanted to talk about this.
Hmm. Yeah. Seems sweet. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Well, Jeff, this
I
has
also
been,
like the art a lot too.
yes, the art is also very cool. Good job, Drew Tucker.
Yeah, way to go, Drew.
Way to go, Drew. Drew, Drew,
Yeah.
Drew,
Drew,
Drew, Drew.
Drew, Drew, Drew.
God. Anyway, that is a cue for us to shut
Yeah.
this down. It's time for last call.
Yeah.
We have a beer to rate this evening, Jeff. Um, it is our beer Funky Fresh from Whitewater Brewing Company. And we get to decide whether this is certified fresh or not, essentially. We'll be rating the scale. So, sorry, what?
I don't
We will
think I
be.
want to rate the scale.
We should rate the scale, honestly. It's not a great scale. We're going to rate this beer on a scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. But while we're saying this, hey, tiers are tiers. They don't mean anything. You can be in whatever tier you want to be, and so don't feel bad when we say that bronze beers are trash. Bronze beers are not good. We don't like them. You pour them out. You just finish. You don't drink them.
Yeah. Silver beers are bad or boring. So bad craft brews, and my macro brews.
Yeah, most of them. Gold beers are fine, but you won't really drink them again.
Platinum is solid, and you would drink it again.
Diamond beers are exceptional. You like them a lot, and you recommend them to your friends.
Mythic, these are the best of the best. These are the beers that, you know, you seek out.
Yeah, you like them a lot.
Yeah.
uh, you would build a beer. Sorry, build a deck. You would build a beer around this beer.
Build the beer around the beer.
Holy shit. My backup beer tonight must have really fucked me up because.
Actually, that kind of makes sense though, because like for mythic beers, I have tried to do the like recipe recreations where you brew like the I forget what
Mhm.
the name of that is when you there's a someone who's tried to like recreate that recipe of
Mm.
the um, clone. You try to make
Oh,
a like
clone.
a beer clone of that, and so you do try to make a beer around the beer.
All
And
right, all right.
the
I
beer you
like
make
that.
is never as good as the mythic beer, just by the way. So,
Yeah, but I should definitely try that.
yeah.
Anyway, this funky fresh drink, I will say that this is a really nice cider. I
Yeah.
think it's a really good cider. It tastes just like it. There's something about the kiwi that really makes it taste like a cider. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. So I was gonna say like this is bad, but it is not as bad as I was expecting it to be.
It's not. It's not.
I was expecting it to be horrendous,
Hmm.
and instead it was like, okay, I could actually see some people liking this. It's just not for me.
Hmm.
Where I was expecting like who would ever drink this?
Exactly.
Um, yeah, I think the cider call out is kind of spot on. Like the sweetness of the it definitely is like a lime kind of sour,
Hmm.
that forward, but the kiwi kind
The
of
kiwi,
sweetness, sort of like fruit thing.
it
Yeah, it
has like an
did kind of taste
appley.
like a hard cider.
It literally tastes. I literally was drinking it. Like I know that I like juicy sours and stuff, but
Yeah,
this one tasted like apples, like actual apples.
yeah,
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm moving away from that palette, but nice for a cider.
yeah. I think if like someone had poured this, told me it was a cider, I'd be like, okay, decent. I just don't
Yeah.
really like hard cider is not my thing,
Hmm.
but fine. Um, it's that, that classic framing situation where the
Yeah.
fact that it's marketed as a beer makes me hold it to in my opinion,
A
or in my
different.
mind, a higher standard,
It's
but
also just
in
different.
general, a different standard. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like it's very funky, but in the end, I don't know. It was not as bad as I was thinking because it's Whitewater. If you
Yeah.
made it this far, you're definitely not a representative of Whitewater Brewing Company, so I don't feel bad saying that. We know that Whitewater is just horrendous. Every beer I've ever tasted from theirs has just been so awful.
Yeah, exactly. So I was expecting this to be bronze. I think it's gonna pleasantly surprise me at silver
Yeah, it's
for me.
probably um yeah, it's like it's silver, but really it's gold. It like feels like it's in a different world because it's a cider. It just doesn't. It's not a beer. This isn't a beer. This is a cider.
Yeah. We need that separate rating. It's like
Yeah,
the rating is like brawl. It's like it's just
exactly.
different. It's just a
It's just
different thing.
it's a commander card. It's a commander beer. It's
Right.
different.
Is it bad or is it good
Is it
as
good? Is it
the
commander?
commander?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's literally what it is. It's just like
This commander.
it's commander. Um,
Yeah.
that's what it
All
is.
next bring a nice six pack of funky fresh to your next commander play session.
Yeah, that sounds delightful.
Yeah.
Tell all your friends it's a really cool kiwi lime
Cider.
cider.
Yeah.
Because if you told me, I literally had a cider the other day that was like apples and like Cab Franc and a couple other like varieties of wine, and it had like it was tart and kind of funky and like very dry. It was delicious. But I also knew it was a cider. If someone gave me that and said it was a beer, I'd be like, is it?
Are you sure?
This is like not really a beer though. So
Yeah.
maybe I'm coming over to the other to the seemingly dark side of the hey, whatever. The beer should be beer flavored.
All
Just like
right, you
Matt.
heard it here first. You heard it here first, folks. Zach is not going to make me drink any more weird beers on the
Oh,
show.
oh, that's not true. That's not
Yeah.
true. We have to tell the people whether beers are beer. And this one is a cider.
Not
This
a
is a
beer.
cider.
Yeah.
It's not a
Just
beer.
Sharpie out the word beer there and
Yeah.
write cider.
And that's it. You're fine. You can be
You
like
got yourself
Michael.
a mediocre cider.
Yeah, be well, we have to drink more ciders to
Yeah.
decide whether it's mediocre or not. I don't know. But anyway, let's close this out. As always, you can find us. Oh, it's closing time, by the way. Um,
Yeah.
you can reach us at Arena Regulars on Twitter and Instagram if you want to talk to us about different types of beer slash cider slash wine slash beverages that you like.
Slash Jack Daniels.
Ugh.
Yeah, if you're really passionate about Jack
I
Daniels,
do
hit
not
us
like Jack.
up.
I hate Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels Honey.
Oh, it's so bad. Don't drink that.
You can also find us on Arena itself. Our username would be Arena Regulars Podcast, or the new username I'm going to create, which is Jack Daniels Honey.
Oh, gross. That would actually be a pretty funny name to run into. Jack Daniels Honey. Um, anyway, if you want to talk to me personally, you can find me at Zulberg, that is ZeulBerg on Twitter, as well as TikTok. But if you want to find me on, actually, at TikTok, I'm regular Zach on TikTok, as well as Twitch. I should know this. My bad. I'm known as regular Zach on Twitch.
Cool.
Also,
If you want to,
Jeff, where can they find you?
Jeff Place is on
Where-
our Discord. I'm pretty sure I'm regular Jeff on the Discord channel. But we go through all of our deck lists. We post them there. If you want to see, the lists we talked about earlier in the Arena Open, we post them on the Discord. You can laugh at us on there, and people do. So
Mhm.
please join, have some fun, and the link for that down below in the show notes.
Yeah, if you want to know about my arena horrible deck decisions, I will send you the stuff. Just let
Yeah,
me know.
just just
I'll let you see them,
just jump into the limited channel and say, "Hey
yeah,
Zach, I want to see that brutal deck you talked about on the show."
and I'll send it to you, and you'll be like, "Wow, you are not good at this game." And I mean, I know I play it all the time. I think I
Yeah.
should be better, but why am I not better at this game?
Have you ever
Uh,
seen that MTG? We're
yeah,
just
yeah,
going
yeah.
off on tangents here, but the MTG Remy video, it's like she's so lucky, but
Hmm.
it's like about magic, so it's like they're so lucky they drew their card or whatever.
Hmm.
And there's that one that cut that always gets me, and it's like why does this always happen to me? And he's like, could it be I never practice much? And he just looks at the camera, he's like, maybe. It's just like, yeah, that hits home of like I play a lot, but I don't
Yeah.
like practice and get better kind of
I'm
thing.
not good at like I don't work towards something. I just play
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah,
Yes, that's 100% what it is. Like, oh, they always get me. Well, let's see if they
yeah,
have the counterspell this time. They
yeah,
had the
yeah.
counterspell. What the
Oh, what are
fuck?
the odds? It's like, well, if
God.
you didn't think through the odds ahead of time.
Yeah, or didn't just say, might as well just try. Maybe this time they don't, you know. It's always
Or,
that.
or like think about have they, done anything that would make me think they might have a counter spell?
Or it's like, hey, how about you just hold both of your two drops till turn four so they counter the first one, you can play the second one or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
just 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 but I'm exactly like that. If you want to yell at me, wait, where are we? Oh, you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts, follow us on Spotify, leave us a review there, as well as YouTube and all the different places that you can. But if you like our rants as well as this podcast, please tell your friends. Let them hear your thoughts, share our stupid wisdom with other people so they can also hear how stupid we are. This has been the Arena Regulars.
Reminding you that if you want to play in an arena open, It's a really good idea to read the rules ahead of time.
Oh, good night. All right, that's fine.